Now, some child rights activists are pushing for a ban on corporal punishment in the country after a study by the Department of Children and Gender Ministry revealed that more children between the ages of 6 and 17 are being punished by caning in schools and at home. The research conducted last year between March and August indicated that 6.4% of children were either afraid to go to school or go back home due to the pain inflicted on them. The study sampled the views of 5,024 children in some selected districts across the 10 regions of the country. Now, the survey conveyed areas like education and training, household living arrangements, and sexual and reproductive rights. Now, let's take a look at a few of the corrective methods, but together to help us to get a better understanding of all this is Christian Ashiagbo Platini, who is with O Africa. O Africa is an NGO, which is campaigning against corporal punishment. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And good to have you.
Thank you.
So now we're having, and before I get into that conversation, let's look at the statistics and look at some of the corrective measures there is to punish children. Now, so corrective method use sex of children and sex. Okay, so we have scolding. And the survey had 14.6 in males, 24.5 in females, and then we have 20.2% of that. Caning, 7.3, and then for males, 5.7 for female, and then 6.4%. Physical drills, 9.8 for males, and 7.5 for females, and all cumulated into 8.5%. And others, we had 0.0 and 7.5 for the females, 0.0 for the males, and 4.3%. And that is a finding from that survey we're talking about. So we are now aware that 75% of children are still being caned or are still going through corporal punishment. What is accounting for this?
What is accounting for this? A big question. You know, corporal punishment or violence is not a cultural issue. It's a learned behavior. Okay. Whatever a child has experienced, that's what that child becomes. The way I was parented, I'm highly likely to parent the same way. So because the generation before was parented that way, and we are parented the same way, so it continues.
How risky is this for child development?
It's very risky. It affects the child in so many ways, emotionally, psychologically, physically. You know, I've never seen a parent who will tell you that he or she intentionally damaged the child's eye. It is always an accident. Yeah. And it is happening. Even teachers do the same. You say it is an accident. When it happens to that teacher, it will never be an accident because of the trauma he will go through. And to the child, it will never be an accident because that child is damaged for life.
Knowing very well that children can be very stubborn sometimes, correcting them may be difficult, what other forms do you recommend apart from corporal punishment?
In the first place, kids are not stubborn. Now, you see, I hear people saying that children are very bad, they are bad. I ask myself, were they bad when they were born? No. It is the parenting style used that leads them to what they become. We always say, don't do this. There's a big catalog of what the child must not do. You're not focusing on what the child must do. Instead of focusing on the negative, focus on the positive. Now, if you ask of alternatives, let's take the school for instance. As a teacher, I'm a teacher by profession myself. If I give homework, I'm a friend teacher. I give homework to a child, the child goes home and does not understand the homework and doesn't do it. And comes back, I beat the child for not doing the homework. I teach a lesson, the child does not understand that lesson and gets 0, and I beat the child for not understanding the lesson. I need to change my method, not the child. I drop my child in school late, and then the teacher beats the child. Come and cane me, not cane my child. You see, I'll be one person to even encourage the state to introduce the cane at the workplace. Okay. Probably even in parliament. Okay. Because people go late to work because there's no cane. If you are only after, people be on time, then the cane, you must continue the same training throughout. For if you in school, for instance, let's first of all understand our words. Let's understand what they go through. If a child does not understand the lesson, the teacher needs to change his methods. If children are coming late to school, try to find out why they are coming late. there's always a reason. Behind every action of a child, there's a reason. The method or action may be wrong, but the reason may not be wrong. So find out why the child is doing this and help that child.
Let me introduce Florence AEC, who is also joining us on the phone. She is Director at the Department of Children at the Ministry of Children, Gender Affairs. Good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time.
Good afternoon, Aisha, and good afternoon to listeners.
So how does it come across to you that 75% of children are still going through corporal punishment?
And this is a worrying issue. The issue of corporal punishment has been something that as a nation we've been grappling with. The fact that children are supposed to be corrected, we have taken it to mean that we need to hit our children for them to understand us and do what we think is right for them to do. And so hitting has become a common way of correcting children at the home, in the school, and any other place that you find children. If most things they do. So the figures are high, because this one is not even the highest. We have our current mix, that's the multiple indicator cluster study. That says that about 90% of our children have claimed that they have been beaten or caned or doing something wrong, and they receive the cane as a means of correction. And so it's something that as a nation is worrying to us. Because we know violence gets bad. And if you beat somebody and you just know that the only way to make people do is through violence, then we learn. And that's what we have learned as a people over the time. That beat me before I behave. And if you don't beat me, I don't behave. And it's really pervasive into all our aspects of our life. You see people, when there's somebody to look after them, that's when they do the right. If there's nobody there, nobody does the right for the right thing. It's because they think somebody is after that. That's the use of cane to correct people, and that's to respect your husband. And that's why we are worried about it. We think that talking about it and getting people to understand that children are just human beings like us. The way we like to talk to on campus when we go home, it's the same way children are feeling. And we need to respect that.
So how do you intend to deal with this worrying situation, especially as it's giving us indication that your ban on corporal punishment is not yielding results?
We are really working hard. You know, we are in the Institute of Platini. We just launched together with a Stop Violence Against Children campaign. We are also running a bigger campaign on Ghana against child abuse, and together with other stakeholders for the Ministry of Local Government and the Ministry of Education. So it's a multifaceted approach. While the ban is ongoing, we are also doing awareness raising at the community level, at the church level, at the school level, for people to understand that that is why we are giving the evidence in the way of to support the use of children, and also others to give deeper understanding on the effect of corporal punishment on the behavior of children and the education as well. At the same time, we really also want keeping our consultation or discussions with the teacher because people have, as I said, learning to cane is something that people have done over the years and they think it's normal. And there's a need for us to disabuse their minds and to dialogue with them for them to know that this is what we mean. That we don't mean that you are losing control in the classroom. But rather learning how to interact better with your students so that you know what issue is or why they are behaving in a certain way. And you come in out with the correct information about the consequences of that behavior and how they themselves can do something better to ensure that they are having an improved outcome for themselves and for you as a teacher in the classroom.
Florence, I'll have you hold and come back to the studio because we're hearing of threats from some teachers who are saying that if the ban on corporal punishment is not lifted, they will hit the street. You are a teacher. You've punished before, but now you are campaigning against corporal punishment.
Yeah, it's a lack of knowledge my people perish. Unfortunately, I feel ashamed at times to admit that I used to care my students, but I didn't know. So most of the time when I meet them, I tell them I'm sorry because I got it wrong. My colleague teachers should rather try to understand that education is changing all over the world, and they should learn how to teach without violence. There are schools in this country, the so-called international private schools. Children who attend those schools were born and bred here.
Okay.
Yet they are not keen, but they are doing well. Why is it that probably if I don't have money, I send my child to the state school, the teacher has a right to cane the child. Even girls on their buttocks.
Okay.
If I hit an adult, I could be charged for assault. If I hit an animal, I'm tempted to be cruel. But when I hit a child, you assume that it's in the interest of the child. Why? Teachers need to understand that education is changing all over the world. There is a law that they should not cane. You see, I know a lot of teachers who do not support the idea of caning. For some of them, it's a revolt against because they think there's a foreign culture or it's a foreign idea or somebody is trying to impose something on them. It is neither here nor there. It is the reality. Violence is not part of our culture. The one who brought the education with the cane, thinking that, you know the notion, they say the only language the African child understands is the cane. Why do you have to accept this negative tagging? Can't you reason without being forced around? They went and reformed their system. They don't use the cane, but you still hold to this. Some even use the Bible to justify it. Spare the rod and spoil the child. Which is not in the Bible. It's a poem written by one Samuel Butler. Israel that received the law in the law of the Bible they are quoting. Banned corporal punishment in all institutions in 2000. Why are we becoming more Catholic than the Pope? Those who receive the law have stopped it.
Has research shown that children who are not punished corporally do better than those punished in that manner?
Research. One, they are bold. They don't have low self-confidence. They don't need to tell lies because there's no fear. They speak up their mind. You can't take them for granted. There are kids who have high esteem, who can challenge, ask questions and go free. Kids who are beaten, shouted down, insulted, called name, have low self-esteem. They go through life thinking about the negative things they be programmed to think about. The negative aspect is high, so high that nobody should champion it. You see, it's only in the classroom a teacher can go and hit a child or hurt a child, and that becomes normal. A policeman using the same gun should accidentally shoot someone. He speak on because it's a crime. Why do you legalize? Why should that be allowed in the classroom? I can tell you that throughout my training, we were never allowed to use the cane during the teaching practice. If they see you with the cane, you are punished. Why do you use it after teaching?
But you're quoting the Bible, lack of knowledge, my people perish. But the same Bible, people will quote it and tell you that the Bible says, spare the rod and
that
spoil
is not
the
biblical.
child.
I challenge anybody to go and look for that statement. Spare the rod and spoil the child is not biblical. It's a poem. You see, now even all the arguments, those who receive the law, that is Israel, they pass a law against corporal punishment. They are not using it. The same people will tell you that you are not under the law. But funnily, our kids are under the law. We are not under the law. When it comes to things that the adult is not supposed to do, they defend themselves. Oh, we are not under the law. Even the type of dresses you wear today, we are not supposed to do. A lot has changed. Solomon that wrote the proverbs that they are overquoting says so many things. They will not agree. His lifestyle, what he did, how many wives he had, how many concubines he had, how many kids he had, whatever happened around him, they will say no. But because the child does not have a voice to speak for himself, that is wrong. Let
me bring in Florence here. Florence, has it come to your notice a group of teachers threatening to hit the street if the ban on corporal punishment is not reversed or lifted?
But we know that there's no way the Ministry of Education is going to lift that ban on corporal punishment. It's not because anybody is against anybody correcting a child. It's because of what has happened as a result of caning. Children have died, children have been maimed, children have been hurt, and some of them have even stopped coming to school because of caning. And as a country, we believe that children need to be nurtured and taught the right things from the beginning, not because of you are using some conditioning before they behave. And Plasty was telling you about the results of caning children. It gets to a time where the child is timid because you are afraid to say the right thing or the wrong thing. You don't know when to be the king. So because of that, you just hang it out there and see whether the king is coming or not. So you are seeing, if I tell the truth, would I get the cane? Or if I lie, would I get the cane? And depending on what you think will get you less is what you say. So we are not training children to be truthful. And we know children are people just like that. They do things for a reason. And sometimes when you get the reason behind their actions, you get to know that they don't mean any harm. They don't mean any harm. But we never listen and we just cane them. And people, because they are small and vulnerable, everybody take advantage and then do whatever they want in the name of discipline. But we're not saying don't discipline. Everybody is supposed to be present when they do something, but do it in a way that the lesson is long lasting and has a positive effect on the life of the individual that is under his care. So the teachers who are complaining that it's because of even the issue they are using to justify the instead of proper punishment. The killing of the headmaster was not done by the children of the school. Yeah. It was done by people outside. So why do you want to retain cane? Police get the cane back. You can't beat those people. Therefore, you cannot beat those people. They're already gone. So why do you want to equate that with returning the cane back to the classroom? And you are working for an organization that gives you their code of conduct. So please, let's abide. Let's talk and get more. If the alternative,
do you have a monitoring mechanism to ensure that people abide by this code of ethics?
Yeah, they are supposed. That's why the headmaster is in charge of the school to ensure that there's no caning. We have special supervisors who are supposed to monitor this incident in the school. And the education on teachers and responsibility for correction is being handled by the guidance and counseling unit of the Ghana Education Service. And that is the core method of what they do. They've been training teachers, they've been introducing new alternative methods for them, and they've been monitoring this incident. So, and we have been in touch with them, and that's why we are sure that the ban is not going to be lifted, because it's something that we as all stakeholders agreed on it, and we are going to implement it. So implement something new is not easy, but gradually, if we learn the correct way to do it, we all be on the same side.
Well, we'll also be monitoring with keen eyes and update our viewers on the improvement you've made in correcting some of these issues. Florence Cote, we're extremely grateful for your time. She is head at the Department of Children at the Gender Ministry. So you heard a colleague over there who's also not happy about these teachers talking about hitting the street and all of that. But more dangerously is the fact that even at home, where we know that children are more safer than going out, the research we're talking about is also pointing to the fact that some children even get scared to go home because of fear of being subjected to this kind of punishment.
Some parents are even burning their hands. For me, it's a shame that a child should be afraid of going back home after school. Even the same thing happens. Some kids are afraid of going back to school. What you need to do as a nation now is to start what you call positive parenting, training for parents. Okay. All Africa has developed some tools that you are using to train parents, and you are getting results. We hope that this becomes a national issue, that parents will learn to know that they can train their kids without using violence. Teachers can do the same. So the discussion must go on. It should not be one of those things we talk about today, it is over. It must be, I will appeal to the media to follow up. We appeal to the stakeholders, all stakeholders to take this up. Teachers should be willing to learn to parent without violence. And now we also appeal to the churches, because if you talk to people, they will start quoting the Bibles and all the manner of things. Pastors should also learn how to educate their people to stop violence and parent in a positive way. That's the only way we can have a change.
And what are you also doing to help the Ministry of Gender and Ghana Education Service to educate teachers to understand that corporal punishment is not the way to go?
Yeah, what we are doing is one of the things we are doing. It's a partnership. It's a this program is it has been sponsored by the EU. We started somewhere last year. We started with the Kids Our Future, which has a program with children in the street who are beggars, that you took over. Now this is a new program you are launching on violence. It's not just about the cane. When you talk about corporal punishment, pinching, pulling of ears, some people using the head of child to hit the wall, calling names, all manner of things. Anything that could put pain on the child. And you got the psychological ones, and you got the emotional ones.
So which other way can you correct the child if not pinching and beating the child? What else can you do to correct the child so that they know what they're doing is wrong?
In the first place, your own life might be an example for the child. If you say the child should not insult, don't insult the child. Go if you insult the sister, you insult him for insulting the sister. If you say don't hit the child. Your child hit the brother, you go back and hit him for him, the brother. So first, understand the reasons behind the action of the child. Let your own examples be what the child copies, and then start talking to the child. Anytime, have it in mind that there's a reason why the child has done something. Find a reason, and then guide the child toward the positive one, not the negative. When you correct a child today, don't refer to that tomorrow. The child will still make the same mistake. You know, the attention span is very short. We all learn from our mistakes. So let's, in the first place, stop tagging kids as being bad. So long as you think the child is bad, you start reacting toward that. So let's have it in mind that our kids are innocent. They are here to learn. Let's help them learn from their environment. Let's be, as parents, be the first teacher of your child. As a mother, be the first friend of your child. In the absence of this, you are pushing your child to the street. I tell mothers who keep quiet and see their husbands start beating their boys. They are helping in creating the next female beater.
Yeah.
When that guy becomes an adult, he gets married. Yeah. The wife becomes a victim.
Because that's the example he's had from his parents. Many thanks to you for joining us and for that education. And Christian Ashiagbo Platini is with All Africa as an NGO empowering children in need of care. Thanks so much for your time. And also coming up on the Pulse this afternoon, Shisha alert as Ghana Health Service raises alarm about the increasing number of junior high students smoking the mixture. We're back in a jiffy.